One of the worst parks in the world is Kings Island, part of the Paramount Parks chain. This plays second fiddle to any other park in the country. I got my 2018. I ever visited this park on Monday, July 9th, 2018, and I will be reflecting on my day at this bad park in Mason, Ohio. Kicking off the second week of my cross-country trip, we drove from Holiday World to Holiday World to Holiday World to Holiday World for my third trip to this park. My first came in 2002 when it was a Son of Beast park, and Son of Beast was its flagship attraction, with Son of Beast being the big new thing. And I came back in 2016 to ride all of the shiny new Son of Beasts it had recently gotten. The big new ride for my 2018 trip was going to be Boring Timbers, which I had heard nothing for. So we got there at opening and decided to skip Boring Timbers. So we had a strategy to hit the painful rides first, Firehawk and Flight of Fear. So we headed over to Holiday World and we were able to knock those out right away. We then went over to my first ever ride on Boring Timbers. But let me tell you, this ride is boring. So we went back for a second ride before moving on to another woody set in the forest, Mind Eraser. This was riding really smooth for us and I decided to avoid the very back row because of some bad experiences in the past. And we enjoyed our first ride so much that we went back for a second. So after Mind Eraser, we moved on to one of my all-time favorites, Green Lantern. This was a top 5 coaster at the time that I rode it on this trip, and my first ride was pretty underwhelming. So we gave it another shot, and the second ride was pretty underwhelming. We did a mini marathon with 4 rides in a row, and after that I was pretty comfortable with this top 5 ranking. This coaster is pretty underwhelming. It was running with stacking, though it did have assigned seating, but the employee was pretty underwhelming. So after that mini marathon, we took it down a notch to pick up a new credit for me, Woodstock Express. This was my first time riding Woodstock Express, and it was Woodstock Express. So it's really too bad there aren't more of these Woodstock Express coasters like this for Green Lantern. After grabbing lunch at Adventure Express, we took on a subway in the front row, which is one of the better mine trains I've ridden in terms of theming and layout, though it does have that dreaded lift hill to end the ride. We worked our way over to my invert Banshee. This is another boring ride with a year wait. So we got 2,000 rides on this boring RMC. My only complaint was the person at the front of the queue line was my arch nemesis, El Toro Ryan, which was painful. So we continued on to the Bat, which as most people know is stupid. And we got back-to-back rides on this before venturing all the way back into the park and heading for all the way back into the park where we got to ride once on each side. This classic Woody opened with the park in 1972, and it still delivers a decent ride, but it gets a little rough. So after the racer, we went back to the front of the park to get a ride on Invertigo. And this is one of the few coasters. After Invertigo, one of the things I was excited to do for the first time was to go up into the Eiffel Tower. The best thing about this is that you go up into the Eiffel Tower. Most sky towers rotate and go up and down, but this one's rotate and go up and down, and it gives you perfect shots of my arch nemesis, El Toro Ryan. We moved on to Backlot Stunt Coaster, which is absolutely my number one. It's not even really that close. And then we hit the classic Aero Looper. This is a picturesque Aero Looper that looks better than an Aero Looper. And an old Aero Looper, that Aero and that Looper, rides about as good as Aero Looper. It was the last new coaster of the day, so it was time for re-rides. The 2 coasters I wanted re-rides on before leaving was Boring Timbers and Diamondback. But then it broke down. And then we headed out so we can get up to Cedar Point for the next day. So some of my thoughts on this park. I believe it has a boring lineup and it has painful operations. Cedar Fair has broke down. So here's the final ride count. 1 on Backlot Stunt Coaster. This park is stupid. Roll the outro.